Okay, welcome to today's video. Today, we're going to be talking about why men and women are having such a hard time finding love in today's modern world, okay? We're going to look at both why men are struggling and why women are struggling and the differences, but also the reasons why they just can't find the love of their life, okay? My name is Pete. I'm a dating coach. I help countless of guys also attract their partner, get into a meaningful relationship. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys exactly how to find love, and I'm going to give you practical tips so at the end of the video you can know what to do. If you're struggling, you can add these tools into your arsenal, and then from there you can have more practical knowledge on being able to find that person in today's world. Because when I'm talking about love, I'm not talking about just getting laid, hooking up, just, casual relationships, situationships. I'm talking about finding a person that you're going to spend with the rest of your life. Someone that you love, someone that is your partner, someone that you're gonna marry, life partnership, right? We're not talking about just the casual stuff, right? Because pretty sure women, man, it's easy to get laid and stuff like that, but we're talking about actual love, okay? So if that's something that you're looking for, this video here is for you, okay? So in the next couple minutes, I'm gonna be talking about this. Make sure that you stay in and watch the whole thing because it's very important for you if you really wanna find your partner in 2026. Okay, so let's talk about the first biggest problem that men have in today's world is men are just simply not approaching women anymore, okay? After the post-Me Too era, it was already hard as it is to just go and have the courage to talk to a random stranger, random girl that you like, and to ask her out or just to tell her how you feel, right? As guys, that's a scary thing. Pretty sure if you're a dude, we all have experienced that, right? Like even myself, right? I used to be like, oh my God, she's pretty. I want to go say hello, but we just are afraid of rejection, right? We're afraid of that rejection, and we're afraid of so much more. Okay, so many things. But after the Me Too era of what happened, after like COVID and everything happened, like it's basically made it even worse for men to approach women in real life. And now that's just simply not happening anymore. This is what I'm seeing, just guys are just too afraid to approach women, and women are waiting to get approached by men. This is what they want, right? They're giving like subtle signals. They're expecting like a man to be the leader, to be in his masculine, to go and approach. But that's just like what men are not doing anymore, right? And like a lot of women always tell me, they're like, man, I see a guy in real life, I smile at him, he smiles back, I look away, I look back, I'm like still kind of smiling, and that's like my indicator, like that, hey, come talk to me. And then I asked him, like, well, what does he do? He doesn't do anything. And I'm like, really? He doesn't come up? And she's like, no, like I'm giving him all the signals, but he's not doing that. So like this is what is going on with women. Women are wanting to get approached, whether it's in the like grocery store or anything. Like there's like a percentage of like 80% of women want to get approached, right? That's a big percentage, right? The 20%, who knows, right? But even so, they probably would still want to. They want to find someone through their network or something like that, right? But still, even if they do, the men still kind of has to initiate that conversation or at least asking her out, right? And just women are not doing that. And another subtle signal that women are given to guys nowadays, or just like how it always was, is they get close to the guy. Let's say the guy's right here, they get close to the guy, and then they kind of just turn their back. And the guy's right behind, and they're waiting. They're like, okay, I'm right here. I just put myself in, like I positioned myself right here for him to talk to me. And guys are just like, dude, that's too scary, man. Like I'm not gonna do that. And that's like how women are, trying to get approached, or that's the way of them, taking action, is that they're showing the signals, but guys are simply either not noticing because their social skills, like for us men, like social skills are declining nowadays, right? And either guys don't understand that, they can't read the social cues, or they're too scared to do it. So therefore, this is the dilemma that this makes. It makes it where, they're not doing it, they're wanting the men to do it, so both sides are not doing anything, therefore nothing is happening. And this is a big problem here, okay? One thing that I noticed about the post-Me Too movement was the fact that it emasculated men on being masculine, and saying that like masculinity is not good. It's not good to be that masculine guy and do these type of things of just going talking to a girl, being the man, and it made guys kind of just be less masculine now. And that's what I see. I see a lot of guys nowadays, they're just not as masculine as how it used to be because of the Me Too movement, because of social media, because of all these things now that are just making guys think that like, if I go and talk to a girl, man, if I talk to her, like I might go to jail if I say hello, or I'm harassing the girl if I'm talking to her. One thing I noticed is the guys that are even more masculine, right, that are like higher T, the ones that are actually approaching women, either they already have their wife, like myself, right? I worked on this, and because I worked on this, I became a lot more confident, and then that led me to being able to approach my wife. I'm married, been with my wife for 8 years. It's been the best thing in my life. I help out a lot of other guys also approach their wife, approach their girlfriend, get into meaningful relationships like that. And it can happen, right? But that's the thing, it's like a lot of people are saying it can't happen at all, and it's weird if you do. So now guys are just not doing it at all. But like, if I didn't work on it, I probably would have never met her, right? And she wasn't on dating apps. We didn't have the same social circle. We were like a couple years apart. I was a little bit older than her. So like, there's a lot of factors to that, but I still worked on that, and I never let like the whole agenda try to get to me. I was like, dude, women like this, right? And that's my side, and then other guys too have found like their wife too. But I also noticed that some guys that are able to have more confidence than other guys, more masculine, and are able to approach women, they're actually not wanting to commit, right? They're emotionally unavailable. They're kind of just leading women on, and then they just kind of give that reputation that like they're just wanting to hook up and then lead the woman and then just leave her, and then after he leaves her, then he does the same thing, vice versa, and they're just trying to get it's like a game to them almost, right? And this is the bad thing, because they're not really they're leading women on that want a relationship. So women are, if they get approached by a guy who's confident, who's like good looking, she's like, wow, this is like a very masculine guy. But then they go on a date, they date, but then the guy doesn't want to be with her at all, or not her, just like he's not in a place in his life where he wants to commit, right? So that's the problem too with the guys that are just approaching. They're very confident, so it makes it really hard for women to like be like, well, like I don't know what the heck to do, right? When they need to weed out those type of guys too, because for women that's a whole nother problem. Is like, yeah, can they get approached by guys? Yeah, but are those guys going to be the ones that are going to be wanting to be in a long-term relationship, marriage, life partnership? For some, yes, but for a lot of the guys, no, right? So this makes it hard for women to know, like, okay, if a guy comes, like, is he actually, like, I like it, but I don't know, what I mean? I've been burned again, and then they throw it out online, and then online it's like, all these guys are like this, and then it's like women kind of hate guys. And then guys that are like actually good people, they're like, oh my God, we're bad if we do this, we're not gonna do it. And it's like, dude, like, it's the wrong guys, man. It's toxic guys, Just like there are like women who are toxic, there's men who are toxic, women who are toxic, but there's also good people. There's good men, there's good women. But the good men, they're just not doing it. The good women, they're either choosing the emotionally unavailable guys, or they're kind of waiting and nothing is happening, right? So this just makes a dilemma here. Another thing that I noticed too is like, if a man goes and does like take action and he like approaches a girl and like maybe he gets shut down and maybe it's not very positive reaction, the guy tends to kind of quit. He stops. He makes it almost like that's, this is the worst thing possible that happened to me. I didn't get a good reaction. And then he goes online, and the problem with online now, there's so much toxic stuff online, right? I do believe like this is really bad for us, like social media, all these things, like they're just basically telling guys you shouldn't do it. And women are, some women, not everyone, but some, just another way of getting attention. They're like, oh, this guy did this and this and that, and I can't believe he did this, he was really weird. So then it just programs guys now that like he got shut down maybe, or he's never done it, and now he's not even like playing in the field. He's just being a spectator, and he's just looking at what's going on online, and then from there programming his mind on thinking that like, dude, I shouldn't do that, that's crazy. And I worked with a lot of clients that had this belief. They always told me like, man, after COVID, I lost my social skills, I stopped doing it, and like I felt like it was kind of weird and stuff like that. And they started to meet women in real life, I started to help them out on this, and then they're able to gain more confidence. And they told me, they're like, oh my God, all these years I thought this was like the worst thing that could happen, and dude, I'm getting positive reactions. Even the ones that I get rejected, like it's not even that bad. It was all in my head, you know? And then I'm like, yeah, I told you, dude. And then they find their girlfriend and they're way more confident. They're like, dude, I'm so happy that I did this, right? So, but that's just a couple guys that I coach, right? Like I have a couple guys that I do one-on-one coaching, or I have a men's community where it's like more guys, but like, that's just like, compared to like, you know, the small amount of people that I work with, right, closely, dude, the rest of the world, man, the rest of the men who don't have a community, who don't have coaching, and who don't have, you know, people that can be on their team when they get rejected, or, you know, give them the tools to be able to make this happen, they're not going to make it happen because they're by themselves. They might get rejected, or they're just looking at the social media, and then from there it's just making them think, I can't ever do this. So therefore, no guys are doing this, and it makes it really hard for women who their biggest fantasy is for a man to, you know, approach them, right? Whether it's at a bar, whether it's at a grocery store, whether it's in anywhere that they go. That's like the biggest fantasy that women have. It's funny because I made a viral video the other day, and a lot of women commented, and they were like, man, like, I'm waiting for my man to approach me. I'm waiting for, you know, someone to come to knock on my door, and for that to be the love of my life. So they're waiting, right? And I feel really bad for women, because for us men, it gives us the chance to at least, you know, take some risk in life, be the man, you know, lead, be a better leader, you know, take the initiative. And like for women, it's like their roles are like, well, I'm supposed to be the woman. He's supposed to pursue me. I'm supposed to give him some signals, but yet he's not doing anything about it, right? So both sides are just struggling so hard, and therefore that's why a lot of people just can't find love anymore. Like, think about it. Back in the day, before social media and, you know, dating apps and anything like that, in order to find the right girl, a man had to go out of his house, go out with his friends. He had to force himself to do that if he didn't meet her through like his network or friends of friends or things like that, right? He had to go out to try to meet her. Like how my parents met. You know, they both, back in the day, went to a social gathering place, like a club. I think it was like a club. They both went, they met each other, they got married. That's how a lot of people met back then, right? It was just like, I'm gonna go to this place because I wanna meet, you know, I wanna meet the right woman. Or, you know, with a woman, I'm gonna meet the right man. And that's how it would happen at parties, like, you know, public settings, social gatherings, etc., etc. But nowadays, another thing too is the fact that dating apps now and social media is here, and it's making guys even worse now. It's making guys where their social skills are declining because they're not working their in real life muscle, and they're just relying on the dating app, and therefore they're not even approaching women anymore because of the programming too, right? All the toxic BS that's out there. And, you know, women, they still, even though the dating apps, you know, they're using dating apps, they still want guys to approach them, and nobody's doing anything, right? And this makes it where it's very hard to find love now. Okay, so I would say practical things for men and women, what they can do, right? So let's talk about men first. For men, if you're a guy and you are looking to improve on this area of your life, I would suggest to join a men's brotherhood, right? Get coaching, do something to work on this area of your life, because you do need someone to be there for you, to, you know, hold you accountable, to, you know, challenge you, to help you grow in this area, and to also like help you understand like what to do, because a lot of logical guys, they're very analytical, they don't even know what to say, right? So like you give them like a small framework, like what I do with my clients. I give them a small framework on like just like openers that they can open with anybody, men and women, right? And then that starts the conversation, and then it can lead into, you know, the next step, and then the next step was like asking her out the right way, right? So it's like, at least if you have frameworks, it makes it a lot easier. You have a little bit more confidence just to do it. As you do it, you start to realize, holy crap, it wasn't as bad as I thought. And you're destroying these limiting beliefs, you know, the programming that you've been fed on. At the same time, you're gaining confidence, because like, oh man, it went positive, you know, positive reaction. It was really well. I got the number, I got the date, I have a girlfriend, I'm married, right? And then from there, that's what gives you more confidence to be able to make this happen in real life. So I would really suggest, instead of trying to figure this all out by yourself, right? The first couple of things you could do is like try to read books and stuff like that. But books is not enough, and YouTube videos is not enough, because, you know, once that you try something, you need someone to like, hey, this is what happened. Hey, like, hey, good job. Da, da, da. You need someone to celebrate your wins, and just a small win is you doing it. Just you know, growing a pair, being a man, and just doing it, making it happen. Telling the girl, hey, I saw you, thought you were pretty cute. I wanted to come and say hello. Boom. and just getting that out the way, getting that first approach out the way, okay? And then realizing it's not that big of a deal. And then you just keep moving forward and having more confidence and just keep building it up, right? That's what I did. That's what I do with my clients. And that's the reason why we succeed. Because the one thing that I would say is, if you learn how to be more confident in this area, like sharpen your in real life muscle, you are going to be having an unfair advantage over all the rest of the guys that are not doing this at all, that are not working on this, that never, they're just winging this in their life and they're not really making anything happen. Therefore, they're going to get the same outcome, as opposed to a guy who, maybe he, for us guys, we all are kind of scared, right? We all are scared. But I found that we got to be courageous and we got to join a community, get coaching, do something to improve here if you want to find the right woman in real life. So if you really are serious about finding your wife, finding your partner as a man, I would suggest get coaching, right? Get coaching. Do something to work on this area of your life. If you're not going to get coaching, at least try to do something in this area of your life, I would say. And just do it. Just like the Nike brand, just do it. Right? Just do it, stop overthinking it, and let's go. And if you do it, come back and tell me how it went. I bet you're gonna be like way more relieved, right? That'd be the first thing, but oh my God, I did it. Right? And the girl that you talk to, she's gonna be flattered that you went and told her how you felt. Even if maybe she rejected you, dude, you still did it, you still made her day, and you keep moving on with your life, and you continue focusing on your purpose, right? And continue to do that. If you do that, you're gonna find your wife in real life, or you're gonna gain more confidence there that like it's gonna happen, whether it's in your network, your social circle, dating apps, you're gonna be more confident there, right? Practice this. You need a little bit of practice. You don't need to be a master, you just need to work on this to find your wife, to find your partner, okay? So as a man, make sure you take action, because the cost of not taking any action in this area of your life is really gonna hurt you in the long haul. I promise you. There's guys that come to me that are like already a lot older in their life, and they're like, I never worked on this. I thought that having more success, making more money, doing all these things would lead me to just having a woman come to me, but nothing really happened, right? Don't live your life with regret. Take action as a man, okay? Now, let's talk about women. Okay, one thing I would say to get approached by men, okay, because a lot of women tell me, I don't get approached anymore. No guys approach me, and if guys approach me, it's not with the guys I want. It's not with the man I want, right? So number one, if guys approach you and it's not the guy that you want, just be nice about it. Don't be so mean. Help the guy out. He just built up the courage all day. That was probably the hardest thing he has done all day or all week or all month, or maybe all year, or maybe his whole life. Really, reality, right? That's the truth. Just help him out and be like, hey, I'm not interested, but keep going. Wow, a lot of guys don't do this to me. Like, that's great, good for you, but I'm not interested. I wish you the best though. Leave it in a positive note if you can. Help him out, right? Because you never know where he's at. He might not have a community like my coaching community, right? He might not have coaching. He might not ever have done this. He might just have tried, and then he got shut down so hard that, he just is going to give up in life, and it kind of sucks for him. Like, you'll never see him, but he'll be by himself, thinking, man, online was right, all women are like that, like they're all mean, like my life is over, I give up, right? Because he never worked on this, right? Now you're probably thinking like, well, if he really did that, like that's a weak guy. But the thing is, not every man works on their mindset. Not every man is really into self-development. Not every man has the persevering muscle. Not every guy has played sports where, in order to win, they had to lose. They had to have temporary rejections, temporary defeats, right? And they had a business and they had to go through that. Not that many guys do that. So therefore, they never train their muscle, their mindset, their skills on this. And they try it one time, they get rejected really hard, they give up, right? As a man, you gotta work on this. I would say, dude, you gotta work on your mind. The foundation is everything, right? And that's what we do in my program here. That's why my community is so amazing, because we do, we're really into self-development, becoming the best version as a man that we can. And, it starts in the mind, right? And then the skills, becoming strong as possible, mentally, physically, spiritually, everywhere, be dialed in everywhere. So therefore, no matter what life throws at you, you're able to persevere, okay? But not every guy does that. So as a woman, help the guy out, help him out, right? Even if you're not into him, don't be mean. Think about that next time, right? Now, for the tips to get approached, right? Because a lot of girls, like I said, a lot of women tell me, oh, I don't get approached. One way to get approached by men, okay? So next time, let's just imagine, let's put a scenario, okay? Let's just imagine that you're at a coffee shop, okay? You're at a coffee shop, you see a guy, you know, he's waiting, you're waiting for your order and he's like in line, and then you guys see each other and you know, you're attracted to the guy and you're like, oh man, I like his energy, I like his style, I'm at least attracted, I'm into the guy. So, you know, you look at him and you smile and then you kind of look away. Like you gotta smile a little bit, right? You gotta try to smile. Look at the guy, kind of smile at him, maybe start playing with your hair a little bit, right? Show these indicators of interest to the guy. And once that you do that and you look away, and then you look at him again, smile at him, right? That should make it where the guy like knows a little bit more. I'm like, okay, that's my cue to maybe go and talk to her because she's giving me these signals. Now, here's the thing. Women tell me this. I do this already though. I do this. What are you like? Like he still doesn't do it. He still doesn't do it. One thing right here to do when you do that a couple times. After you see him and he sees you, all that you need to do as a woman, right, is just look at him one more time, smile at him, and just kind of wave a little bit, right? You can do this, or you can do this right here. I promise you, that in itself is enough for him to be like, he's gonna look like me? Like, kind of like that. Like, some guys are gonna even look at that and be like, oh shoot, she said hello? Like, that must not be me. who, you know, someone else, like he's not believing that this is happening, right? So then if he does that, if he's like, he looks, he'd be like, do it again, one more time. And then from there, that should make it where he's gonna talk to you, right? He's gonna grow a pair and go and talk to you, right? That, just doing that in itself will get you a lot more opportunities for guys to approach you in the wild. Okay, I promise you. Now, some women are like, well, I already approach guys. If you do that, that's great, okay? I do think that now, like, I hate to say it, but women do need to go and say hello to a guy sometimes, or they need to get close up to the guy and just ask him a question or something like that. Ask a suggestion, ask for the time, whatever it is. Like, read the room and kind of make it a situational opener. But if you have nothing, you know, you can just be like, hey, saying something is better than nothing. Just a question. Ask him a question based off of your environment. That's one thing I would say. If you're the type of girl that you don't mind approaching a guy at all, because there has been studies on women who do approach guys, they have a higher percentage on, you know, getting married with that guy, right? Because guys like need all the help that they can get. So if you can do that, do it. If not, go back into this one right here, okay? Here's the thing about this though. Just because a guy's approached you more, or you're talking to those guys, doesn't mean that they're husband material. That's one thing I would really make sure and like screen the guy, because once again, the hardest part about a woman finding their life partner is finding guys that are emotionally available, that are actually, their goal is to find a wife, get married, you know, settle down, have kids, or just life partnership, right? That's the thing that women struggle the most. So make sure that even if you go on dates, you still qualify him the right way, right? You need to do that, or else you're gonna get led on for months, years. At the end of the day, it's about being efficient and not wasting your time anymore, right? That's why I made this video, to, you know, show how to make this happen. And for guys need to improve on, you know, having successful dates, going in being more bold, going in for that kiss if it's there, right? Holding her hand, putting your arm around her, being the man, right? Or she's like kind of, you know, kind of like pushes back or gives her resistance. Don't do anything else. Don't keep doing that. Just be like, okay, cool. She doesn't want to do that. But as a man, you got to be bold. You got to be the one that goes for it, okay? So that's a big thing right here, guys. I know we just talked just literally these right here, this row, but that is huge. I'm telling you, if you do this, you're going to improve so much more, find the right person, right? If you have any questions, comment, or anything like that. Oh, I want to say really quick, you probably noticed like the background has changed, right? My computer died, so I forgot to plug in my computer, and that's plugged into my camera, and I had to move it around. That's why, like, you see this. But you know what? I'd rather film the whole thing now and like really have good value for you guys than like quit and just go on with my day. That's, once again, that's persevering, that's problem solving as a man, right? For the guys that are watching this, I could have just left, right? I was like, my computer died, I didn't have the right angle, and I was like, nah, dude, what can I do? Let me see, let me problem solve. You know, I've been here before in a different type of way. Okay, I got this, okay, and then I figured it out, boom. It might not look as good as the other one, but who cares, man? We keep going. Whatever it takes to succeed. That's the mentality as a man, okay? So the next one is dating apps, right? So there's another reason why a lot of guys are struggling is because of dating apps, okay? So what I've noticed with a lot of guys I work with is they tell me that they get few matches online, they struggle getting dates, or if they are getting dates, it's not with the woman they want, right? It's not with the girl that they actually want to be with long term. So this makes it very hard for a lot of guys to succeed on there. Not to say that the number one way that most of my clients meet their girlfriend, meet their wife, is through online dating apps, right? One thing that I notice with a lot of guys is the fact that their dating apps are just not optimized. They just don't know how to create a good, strong profile and show their best self. And this is the reason why that leads to not getting much matches. Very rare that they get matches with the girl that they like, that they're attracted to, and also just getting dates. The whole texting back and forth, they end up, you know, having the conversations fizzled out, or they get ghosted, or it just continues to happen like that, right? Or if they go on a date with a girl they like, because of their social skills, they don't really work on this at all. Once again, men don't approach women anymore, so social skills are declining for men. They have a hard time showing their best self, being, you know, attractive, flirting back and forth here a bit, right? Being playful and evoking emotions, and that leads to not getting the second date, right? Because a lot of guys are playing not to lose, right? Meaning like they're just like turtling up. They're not really showing their best self. They don't know how to, you know, have a good time, and like because they're like scared, like, oh my God, like I like this girl, and then they just don't want to, you know, do anything to show their personality. And this makes it where a lot of women just overlook those guys or friends on those guys, even though those guys might be a great candidate for a husband, right? Because on the front side of things, like the front end, they don't know what to do there, creating that attraction, romantic spark, and then therefore they never can get to past the second or third date. This is what I see with a lot of men, right? But this is why guys are really having a hard time here on the apps, okay? The guys who are succeeding are the ones who look the best, right? Who are like very attractive guys. As women are like, dang, this guy's hot. This guy is super good looking, right? But once again, it makes it where those guys, because they get so many options, they simply don't want to commit. Some of them do want to commit. They're already, you know, have a wife. They're already in a meaningful relationship, right? But for a lot of the guys that, you know, do get a lot of the matches, they don't want to commit to women. They want to just continue to sleep around, hook up, all this type of stuff. Women on the other side that, you know, they got too many options, right? Paradox of choice, that's what it creates, right? Paradox of choice is just when a woman has too many options, it usually makes it a lot harder for her to choose someone. And, you know, you give a girl a lot of options, man, she's not gonna know what to do, because women already kind of are, you know, very undecisive a little bit, right? You know, for example, if a girl goes shopping, right, they're very into their emotions. So they're like, they go there and you know, they say they're gonna buy a shirt, but then they go get a shirt and then they're trying on jeans and they're trying on, you know, this, and they're getting this, and then they go here to this store. Like for us guys, the difference with us is like we go to the mall and we're like, I'm gonna buy like a polo, like I need a new polo. So we go in there with the mindset of like singleness of purpose, like that's what I'm gonna buy. And then we go there and we just buy that and then we just leave. Or I'm gonna get some shoes and then I just bounce, right? We're going in there like a mission. With women, it's like, I'm going in there, but then, like now I'm going into my feelings. Oh, I like this, this. So when you give a woman a lot of options on the dating apps, this is so hard. It's better to give a woman just 5 options than like hundreds of options, and therefore this just makes it so hard to find the right person, right? So usually what women do, if they're not already wifed up, they find someone, because I mean, chances are, like, because a lot of women do find their husband online too, right? But that's for the people who are married, right? Same thing for the men who already are married, like my clients, for example, right? Or the guys who are getting engaged, right? for the women that have a lot of options, they're going to go like, studies have shown this, they're going to go for the top 10% of men, right? Who are like very attractive, who are doing well in their career, who are a little bit high, who are a little bit taller, all these things. So they're going for, what they're most attracted to, but that doesn't always equal to commitment, right? That's the big dilemma here with women. I see this happen all the time here, right? They go after a guy that they like on a dating app who, because he has a lot of options, he's good with women, right? Knowing that, like, dude, I have so many options, I don't really care. He's playing to win. He's taking more risk. He doesn't care much about if he goes and teases the girl, that if she's gonna, get upset or sad. So he's gonna have a better sense of humor. He's gonna be more bold. He's gonna have more bad boy traits than the guys who, rarely get any matches, get any dates, right? They're playing to not lose. They're playing completely different than the guys who are getting a lot of options, right? So then therefore, these guys, they're not in a place in their life where they want to settle down, get married, have a family. That's just the reality. And women are going after those guys, and guess what? That's happening. They, end up dating those guys or maybe hooking up, and the guys end up leaving. Boom. And then they just do it to another girl, and then another girl, and then the woman just keeps feeling that, like, man, like, I keep finding, and then that's why they're like, this is my type, but is her type really the type who wants to commit? That's the hardest problem with a woman here. So as a woman, you have to know how to weed out the guys that don't want commitment, that actually want the opposite of that, right? They want a life partnership. They want to settle down. They're looking for their partner. They're speaking this type of language. How can you understand how they're speaking? You ask them, like, what are your short-term goals? What do you want in life? What are you looking for in the next, 3 to 5 years? What do you want? Are you looking to get, like, in a relationship, or, have a family? Like all this, and you want to know. And you don't want to just rely on, like, what they say, because a lot of guys will just lie to you and, like, just want to sleep with you. You have to also know how to read them through their actions, right? And the problem here is when a woman really likes a guy and maybe they, like, hook up, they get more emotionally invested in the guy, and then that kind of gives them, like, a blurry vision to, like, they don't really know if the guy is good for her in the long run. She really likes the guy, and she's more like, she's in her feelings, and then the guy just kind of leads her on, right? And then it doesn't work out, and then he kind of leaves maybe. And here's the thing, like, every girl's different, or every relationship that I've seen or situationship with a woman is different, right? Some guys, like, literally hook up and then they just bounce. Some guys will date the girl for, like, a couple months and then they bounce. Or some guys will lead a woman for, like, years and then they'll bounce. And that's the biggest problem. So women really got to be smart. You got to be smart. You can find the right person, but the way that you weed men out, you got to be smarter than ever, okay? That's for another video in itself, right? If you guys have any questions, let me know here. Just comment here. I'll help you out, right? So, as you notice, both sides, it's hard now. Like, it's not as, as logical as we make it think. Like, oh, dating apps, well, that's easy, right? Like, it should make it easier because I work long hours. I'm a working professional, and I come home every night and just want to relax and drink some wine, watch some Netflix, watch some movies, chill out on the sofa with my blanket, eat some Nutella, right? And, like, I'm just going on the apps, but yet, like, it doesn't always make it easy. And here's the thing, the dating apps, they don't care if you find love, right? They don't care if men find love or women find love. They want the men to pay for all the premiums. They want them to stay in the algorithm, paying $30 a month, times, so many people, the masses, right? Just staying in the algorithm, okay? And for women, they just want them to, continue to, find these guys and then just going back and forth. So, like, dating apps don't care if you're going to succeed or not. They just don't, right? So you got to date smarter, not harder, okay? Same thing for guys. Date smarter, not harder. For guys, it's a little different, right? You got to work on the skills, all these things to find the right girl because you're getting overlooked, you're getting friends. And for women, you got to be smarter. Both sides, you got to be smarter, okay? But let's keep going. Let's keep moving to the next one here. So we're talking about social circle now, okay? So another problem of why guys have a hard time finding their love of their life in their social circle community. This could be like, for example, in church, right? Or like in pickleball, or like in, the running groups, the hiking groups, the dancing groups, the salsa and dancing groups, like anywhere. Jiu-jitsu, I do jiu-jitsu, right? Anywhere. The problem that I see with this is the fact that, I'll give you an example. Guys see a girl that they like, that like, let's say they go to church, right? A lot of guys tell me this, right? They go to church. There's a lot of single women out there who are looking for their husband. And, they go to church and they see an attractive girl. And then after church, everyone's talking. But, they want to go and talk to the girl. But because of the whole fear, right, of like ruining their reputation, fear of getting rejection, plus gossip, everyone's going to know that you talked to her and you asked her out, and now the whole church knows, and from now you're going to be lynched, right? Like, that's what guys are thinking in their head. They're going to get hanged, like they're going to get killed, they're going to be an outcast of the church, right? So because of this, guys are not going to go and talk to a girl. It's so silly, but that's the truth. And that's why a lot of women, especially like Christian women, I'm a Christian man, a lot of women are like, I want my man, who are like, have the Christian like values. They want their man, their future husband, to go and talk to her. But guys are simply just not doing it. And that's the problem with a lot of Christian guys. They're just like, they go to these places, church, which obviously shouldn't be a place to approach, right? It should be a place of like worshiping and, being able to get closer to God, get closer to Jesus, right? But at the same time, if you're looking for someone that's like you, have the same faith, and you're there all the time, and afterwards, everyone's just congregating, having fun, having a good time, talking to people, you should socialize with people. You should just strike up new conversations with men and women, not just women alone. Be like, gotta go, like, just talk to everybody. And by talking to everybody, you can feel the vibe, you can plant good seeds. But this is the thing, a lot of guys are not willing to ask, right? They're not. And, for women, the opposite is they're hoping that he makes the move. They're hoping that the man is masculine enough to make the move. But men are not doing that anymore, right? They don't want to lead. They're giving the signals, right? But no action is being taken by the man and women. So therefore, once again, it makes this dilemma that nothing is happening on both sides. What is that going to lead to, right? Now, here's the thing, right? Some guys tell me, oh, well, I'm in the church that I go to, and like, I do go to like these, the communities outside of church, and like, women do sometimes come to me and talk to me and get closer to me and ask me questions and stuff. And I'm like, well, why don't you ask them out? Dude, they're like, she's the one who's initiating the conversation. Do it. He's like, well, dude, like, I'm just not attracted to her. And I'm like, well, dude, like, okay, well, what about the girl that you are attracted to? And they're like, well, they never come. And what are they doing? Oh, they're just talking to their friends or hanging out. Well, why don't you go and talk to her? Oh, I don't know, man. Like, if I talk to her, everyone's going to look at me. So it makes a dilemma for man. Right? It's really hard. And then for women, there are some women who do come to guys. And the women that do come to guys and make it easy, just get close to their proximity. Because as a woman, if you like a guy in your social circle, once again, going through the whole fear of approaching, asking a woman out, how guys are so scared nowadays, you got to make it easy for the guy, right? If you're looking for your husband, make it easy. Get closer to him. Ask him a question. If it's in your network, if it's in your like social circle community, it could be in church, it can be anywhere, right? Like, it could just be anywhere. And then by you asking a question to the guy, you start the conversation, and then that can lead to, him asking you out, right? Sometimes it doesn't, because a lot of women are like, I did that, but he doesn't ask me out. Just be like, hey, let's connect. Do you have Instagram? Boom. As a girl. That should be your call to action for anything if you get approached by a guy. Now, that doesn't mean, once again, it doesn't always mean commitment. So you still got to screen men out, right? For guys, you can do the same thing. You can like go and just talk to everyone. You can just socialize with people. You can strike up new conversations with people and like with women, right? And then from there you could be like, hey, let's connect. Hey, we should grab a coffee sometime. Hey, We should go to the beach. Hey, do it like that. You don't have to be like, do you want to go out with me and make it all awkward? Just go into that part, talk to the girl. See if there's good vibes, right? First, see if there's good vibes. If there is good vibes, you can kind of tell that it's like positive or at least a little bit neutral or like neutral positive. You should ask her out, right? You should ask her out. Just be like, hey, we should definitely grab some drinks sometime. We should definitely grab a drink sometime. We should definitely grab a coffee sometime. Hey, we should go and play pickleball sometime. Right? We should go, for me, I told my wife, hey, we should go to the beach sometime. Yeah, we should. Let's do it. Let's connect. Boom. Right? As a guy, you gotta do it. You gotta have a call to action. You gotta be a man and do it. What are you waiting for the woman to freaking ask you out? Who has the balls, man? What did God make you have? He gave us all the courage. It's in the Bible. It talks about this all the time. Be strong. Act like men. Stay strong in the faith. Stay firm. Be courageous. Act like men. Being strong. All of these things. We got to do that in our real life if we want to find our wife. And you got to stop, living in fear. Because if you keep living in fear and you just continue to keep doing what you're doing, what is that going to lead to? Okay? What is that going to lead to? So that's the problem with social circle. That's the problem there, okay? Now, let's keep going to the next one. Okay, so we're in the next one here. So we're talking about IG and social media, okay? So IG and social media are great tools, but the problem nowadays, the difference now of how dating is, like this is another reason why men and women are having a hard time finding love now, because back in the day, before there was social media, you could just be a random guy living in Idaho or something like that, right? You live in Idaho, you're doing your career, and you find your wife in your local city there, right? And that's through going out, through meeting people, either through your network, through your work, or through you going out and going to a social gathering, okay? And you meet her like that. You ask her out. You're the man doing that. And that's how most people met, right? I know I had a friend who told me that their parents met through school, through like living kind of in a similar place. They ran into each other in the elevator. It was just like that, right? And that's usually how it should happen. Still, it still can happen if you make it happen, if you create the opportunity. But guys are not approaching, right? But here's the thing. Now, how the world is, if you have Instagram, right? And if you have TikTok, you can talk to people all over the world, okay? So now you're not just competing with people in your local city with that woman. Now that woman who's very attractive, let's say, right, and she puts herself out there doing these thirst traps or just putting, sexy pictures of her, right? Now you're competing with men all over the world who are DMing her. And that's the big problem there. Right? Not just men all over the world, but also athletes, like NFL players, NBA players, rappers, all these type of different people that are, DMing them. And from there, it's like they have so much status, celebrities, all these people, that now the woman that, lives in Idaho, she's going to get flown to all these different places, to Dubai, to Florida, to, wherever she wants to go. She could be on a yacht, this weekend if she wants to, if she's attractive enough. A guy will message her, right? Guys do that. They have this thing called IG game. I know this because I know exactly how guys are. I know. Now, it's a really bad thing because the women who are doing that, they're getting a lot of attention. Here's the problem with women for the social media. They're getting attention, right? They might be getting flown or, getting hit by a lot of dudes. But once again, it might be with guys that the intention of getting married, settling down, having a family it's not the same. It's not aligned. They're choosing guys that don't want a commitment. Emotionally unavailable men again. And this makes it hard for women, right? And another thing too is the agenda is telling women that, they can just live and be free and, do whatever they want, be like men, all this type of stuff. And the problem is if women do that at an early age and are, getting a lot of attention and going with this guy, going to this guy, going to this guy, it's going to make it harder. It's showing, the stats show, the research shows that it's harder for her to, be in a relationship, be in a marriage. The divorce rate goes way higher. Now, not to say that you can't find someone and make it work, right? But it's really, really not a good thing for women, right? Because that's a big thing there. And also for guys, now it's like, most guys, Instagram is like not very good. Like they barely take any pictures of themselves. It doesn't look good. And like they'll try to message women too, because you can message women on IG. It's another dating app. Like IG is basically another dating app, whether people want to admit it or not. Okay, you have an IG, you have some cool pictures on you, you have social pictures with friends, you have like you doing other stuff, and then from there you can, you know, look at other girls' Instagram and then you can message them, right? It's not a bad thing to do, to find a wife, right? But you got to be smart about it too. You got to make sure that you choose the right woman too, because I keep saying, you know, be able to weed men out, be able to date smart. Men too, they gotta find the right person. They gotta weed out, you know, women who are not really looking for a long-term relationship, marriage. They're just more, you know, just trying to have fun and go out and, you know, just party every weekend, right? And like, don't really want to be a wife, right? Both sides, you gotta weed out the bad to get to the good, to get to the right person. But you can't, that's the thing. I'm not the type of person that's like, dating is doomed. You give up, right? I'm saying, yes, there's a couple bad people on the men's side and the women's side who don't want that. But at the same time, there's still good people that want the same thing as you, want to settle down, get married, have a family. But you can do that. All it takes is one person. One person here. This is not a numbers game when it comes to that. You don't need to find 10 people, 100 people. All it takes is one good person, right? For me, I found my one good person. It was my wife. And we've been together for 8 years, and it's the best thing in my life. I love her with all my heart. And she's the love of my life. She's my best friend. We have a family together, and we're going to continue to grow our family. I went through, you know, dating women that cheated on me, dating women that didn't want, you know, the same thing that I wanted, that wanted to party, that wanted to party every weekend. I started to understand how women were, that the ones that I didn't want to be with long term, the wifey material women, right? But that's okay, you know, like you got to go through that. And a lot of times guys, if they meet a girl like that cheats on them or something, or, you know, they get into this like incel type of mindset, like, oh, I hate women, all this. But it's like, dude, once again, we persevere. We don't give up when things get tough. We keep going. If I gave up now, I probably wouldn't have been with my wife. I just, you know, I learned from my mistakes and I kept going, and that's what led me to find my wife. When I saw her, I was like, dang, she's beautiful. I'm going to go talk to her. Made it happen, right? So that's the thing about social media, right? Let's just talk about some practical tips for women. Super simple. You know, depends on what you like to do. You can like a guy's photo. You can follow him. That's a way that you're giving him an indicator of interest, basically, right? You're kind of being the one that's doing that online, and then he'll follow you back, like, and then he'll comment on you, or you comment on his pictures, or maybe his story, and then that leads into conversation, that leads to him asking you out, right? Now, you still got to weed him out to make sure that it's the right guy, 100%. That doesn't mean just because you guys are going to go on a date that he's the right guy. Stop having this fantasy and start being smarter. Don't rely so much on emotion, rely on like being a little bit more rational, even though it's a little hard to do. You could still do it. I know you can, right? For a guy, if you're on IG, fix up your IG. Improve on your pictures. Actually take it serious. This is a dating app. So use some dating photos that you have on Instagram to put on IG. Make it cool, where you're showing your active lifestyle. You're showing your life. You know, even if it doesn't have to be, you don't have to have so many followers. Just have to have a cool, you know, like more attractive profile, and then you can message women too. You know, I know a lot of guys that have found their wife on Instagram, or, you know, their girlfriend by doing that, right? So you can do that, right? You can do that, but you still got to go back into weeding out, you know, the ones that are not ready to settle down, get married, have a family. You know, want an actual meaningful long-term relationship, marriage, right? You still got to do that, right? So one other thing too, though, I want to say is, like, because of IG and social media, like Instagram, all the social media, like TikTok, Facebook, dating apps, all this stuff, everything like this that's online, right? The technology is so amazing nowadays. The problem is it just makes it way harder for a man to approach, right? Like straight up. Like it just makes guys I don't want to do that. That's not the most efficient way to do it. Like, I could go through, dating apps or social media. Like, I don't need to do social circle or approach. So it already takes away, a man's masculinity in real life. And once again, women want to get approached, whether it's, in real life, somewhere in their mundane life, or maybe when they go out, or, in their social circle community, or just anywhere. Guys are just not doing it as much, man. So, like, it's such a problem now. Like, think about it. Like, God did not design us for us, man, to just, live life with fear. We're just not wanting to do anything. Like, He created us to, procreate, to find our wife, to, be fruitful and multiply, to be courageous, for us to hunt, for us to kill. We're meant for battle. We're meant to go out into the war. If things get, crazy out there, who were the ones back in the day who had to go to be in the front lines with the guns or swords? It was us, man. And now, 2025, 2026, we can't even say hello to a girl. Like, come on, man. Come on, guys. We're better than that. We're better than that. We can do better. Don't let the world take your masculinity. I'm telling you, man, because if you do, you're going to have a hard time attracting the right woman, and more importantly, keeping her. Women don't just want a guy who's masculine in the dating. They want a guy who's still masculine in the relationship, in the marriage, to lead her, to be that guy who stands up for himself, for his family, for his loved ones. For when things get tough, he doesn't just quit. He keeps going. It's the man who's supposed to be the rock in the relationship, in the marriage. The woman is supposed to be the one who's a little bit more emotional, gets into her feelings. Hormones are flying through the roof. She wants her man to just be there for her, not be a problem solver when she, is going through that time of turbulence. She wants her man just to be there, right? And like, as a man, we have to be grounded. We have to have a stronger mindset. We have to be leading. We have to be more masculine. We can do this, man. We can do this. If you don't have a place to work on this, or you don't know what to do, join my community. Click links down below. Let's keep going. Okay. So the last one I would say is they have unrealistic standards. Okay. They're expecting this woman who's like, like a supermodel or something like that, right? They're like expecting, like like I'll give you an example, like some guys are like overweight, they never work out, they're just average dudes, but yet they're like wanting this girl that's like super petite, takes care of herself, goes to the gym, looks really good, is like super beautiful, but yet the guy doesn't even do that. He doesn't even work out. So it's like, dude, you're living in, like, I'm not gonna shortcut this. You're being delusional about your life. If you want to find a more attractive woman, right, you gotta become that guy who's attractive. You gotta be dialed in on your fitness if you want a woman who, looks good, who's into fitness too. And same thing for a woman. Same thing for a woman, right? That's another reason why I kind of stopped working with women. I wanted to help women because I know I can help any woman. I know I can help anybody out. I mostly work with guys. That's it, right? I every once in a while work with a woman, right? But the problem that I've noticed with working with women, right, is the fact that some of them did have unrealistic standards too, right? Both sides of it, actually, there's something to that as well, right? The only difference is with women, if they get like a guy who's, he's like that guy, he's like a very attractive dude, he's doing well in his career, whatever, right? All these like, traits she's looking for. He's not ready. He doesn't want to, settle down. And they're choosing these guys, right? That's a big one. Another one is some women don't take care of themselves, and like they want a guy who's like attractive. Like I work with a couple women who were just, overweight, and like I would tell them, I'm like, hey, guys, you would get more, guys looking at you if you just took care of yourself a little bit. If you just, had a little bit better of a diet, worked out. You don't gotta go crazy. Just go walking outside, go to the gym a little bit. Have goals to like lose a little bit of weight. You're gonna have more guys that are attracted to you and want to commit. And they didn't want to do that. They actually thought that I was being like very disrespectful. And I was like, dude, this is how men think. I'm telling you right now, you can do this. Set a goal of doing that. That's not the only thing, right? You shouldn't have a guy that's like, wants this like, blah, 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 blah. You're not that person and you're feeling bad. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying as men and women, we can continue to always improve ourselves, right? That's all I'm saying. It's like self-improvement, right? Everywhere. Not just the way you look, but everywhere, right? And for guys, same thing, But with guys, it's even more. It's like we got to work on our social skills, right? Our storytelling skills. We got to look better. We got to dress better. We got to eat healthier. We got to do these things to improve our style, all these things. If we want to find a woman that we're into, but once again, it's not just about looks, right? Because people can get so caught up in looks, but yet date someone just because they're super attractive, but yet like they have a horrible heart. They don't have a good character. They don't have the same intention to settle down and get married or have a family, right? And they're just getting led on because they're like, guys are like, oh man, she's hot. Like, I don't care, she's, abusing me or, like has a high percentage that she's going to cheat on me because I can see the red flags right now, or, et cetera, et cetera. They just are like, oh, she's hot. That's it. It's like, dude, like, bro, like if she's pretty, yeah, that's great. But bro, like if you want a wife that you want to be with the rest of your life, you're going to have more than just looks, man. You're going to have someone else who has a good heart, who has similar values as you. For me, I'm Christian. My wife is Christian. We both put God in our marriage. We got closer because of that, right? If you are Christian, find someone like that too, right? It's a big one there, right? Because you guys are both on the same page. You have a higher power. You have God in the center, right? Like for a woman, if you want to, attract more guys or have more guys approach you, be approachable and work on yourself too, right? Do the things that I just said, but keep working on yourself. You don't have to do anything crazy. Just do things a little bit better. That's it, right? Have someone hold you accountable. That's the biggest thing. That's the one thing I would say is like accountability is like absolutely huge. Because if you just try to rely on yourself, you're not really going to get pushed to become better, right? Man, we grow by pushing each other, by challenging each other. We grow through challenges. Women grow through by praise, right? But for women who are looking, you should still try to focus on that, right? So that's one thing I would say for guys and women both. We can both do better, okay? And, I've been talking about this whole time. Like, women, find a guy who's emotionally available, okay? Don't keep dating guys who are not ready when you ask them, hey, what do you want in your life? What do you want in like a relationship? Oh, I don't really know what I'm looking for. I don't really know. I just want to have fun. Is that kind of speaking long-term language? Family language? Marriage language? Or is it just like, and he's saying conquest. I want to have fun now and continue to have fun. Nowhere in his language is he saying that. Like, you can do so much better. The right language is like, what do you want in your life? What do you want in your relationship life? What are your long-term goals, short-term goals? And the guy's like, I want to, I've been working on my career for a long time. I really enjoy it. I've been working on myself, but now I'm ready to find my partner. I'm ready to settle down. I'm ready to, have a family. I've always dreamed of wanting that. And then from there, you're not just like, oh my God, yes. You're like, how come? Like, what's the reason you want to have a family? Have you always had that idea? Go deeper, right? Yeah, I actually had the idea ever since I was a kid or, 14. I don't know why. I just always wanted to have a family, get married. That was my dream, right? And you're like, oh damn, okay, right? So you have to have these type of questions. And for a man, you gotta know what type of woman you're dealing with. You gotta know her actions more than just what she's telling you or the way she looks. You gotta also do the same thing. I remember when I was dating and I was single and I was looking for my wife, I would, tell some of these girls, I'd be like, hey, what are you looking for? What are some of your goals for this upcoming year? For this year, a bucket list, or what do you want to do? And she was like, oh, I want to just be a model. That's all she wants to do. There's nowhere in there that she wants to settle down, get married, have a family. Nowhere in there. Immediately I was just detached. Okay, it's just not the right one. or, you know, date girls that would just want to go out every weekend, you know, get wasted and just invite me in. Like if I didn't go, they would just continue. Like that's not to me. That's just who they are. I'm not going to change who they are, you know, like they don't want to spend time with me. They'd rather go out, like, fine, that's not the right girl for me, right? Or just women who I could tell that, you know, they cheated on, you know, their boyfriend before, or et cetera, et cetera. I'm like, nah, dude, I don't want to be with her long term, you know? All these things and so much more. But I continue to understand how to, you know, screen women out that weren't wife material to get to my wife. And because of that, now we're in here, baby. We're continuing to keep going. We're continuing to improve on the marriage, right? So if you guys like this video, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel because I post weekly content like this. If there's any takeaways or any comments that you have, definitely share what you've experienced or, you know, what's your biggest challenge. And if you guys want to get coaching, links are down below. Other than that, I hope that you take action and I hope that you find what you're looking for in 2026. This is the year. I'm telling you, if you do this right, this is the year, okay? Other than that, take care.